Thank you for joining. But I was just sitting here sipping my tea in one of my favorite cups, and I was actually reading this book. And y'all, it actually is really good. It is really good. I am a little bit blown away about how good it is. I've been reading it now for a little while. It takes me a little bit longer to read than it used to. So, but I'm just grateful that now I can read and actually retain some stuff because that was an issue for me. For those of you that don't know, I am recovering from long COVID, and it actually kicked up the fibromyalgia that I had been diagnosed with back in like 2010 and chronic fatigue. And so, um, how it is for me is some days are really, really, really good days, and some days are not, are challenging. And um, the thing that it affected the most for me was my memory and my comprehension, stuff like that. And that was a challenge. That was a real struggle. It was a real struggle because I love to read. And so for a time, I had to kind of put the reading to the side. And really, I started doing more audios and listening to more audiobooks. And um, so that was a thing, and it's been a challenge. It's been something that I've been going through it's been 3 years, exactly 3 years, September, when I started dealing with that. And, it's one of those invisible chronic conditions because people look at you and they say, "Oh, you look fine." When it first happened, I was at work and my manager I said to her, "I'm not safe to be here." She said, "Why?" She said, "You look fine." And I said, in my way, I said, "I'm always going to look fine." I said, "But that don't have nothing to do with what I'm telling you now." I said, I cannot remember things, I mean, everything. And it wasn't just simple things. It was everything. I couldn't remember anything. And, um, it was a struggle because I've never been at that place, and also because I'm a super smart girl. Like like I'm a super smart girl, you know what I mean? My IQ is like way up there, but I felt really stupid because I couldn't remember anything and it was a struggle. So as I started going through and, of course, they don't have anything for you because they don't know anything about it. You know what I mean? They're like, "Oh, well, maybe we can do this and we could try that." Basically just, guinea pigging you. And so I decided to start working on it myself. And so I started working with energy, which is what I do anyway. I started getting more Reiki sent to me. I started getting, doing more sessions with different people to help me in different ways, and that's been really, really, really encouraging. I started doing word finds, so I just sit down and work with word finds. I started coloring more because that's something that lights me up, and I felt like if I could do things that I enjoyed, things that were fun for me, then, I believe that it would shift and it would allow me to heal. Because, people don't know the thing about healing is it's not linear. So you can like there are days when I feel completely normal, like I was in the past, There are days I feel like that. Like I'm walking, I'm going around about my business. I don't have any pain, I don't have any brain fog, these kind of things. And I have those days now. For a long time, I didn't have any of those days. Every day seemed like a struggle and a fight. And so I haven't worked in a year because I just couldn't. I started back to work. I took off for like a year. I didn't work for a year because I couldn't. Like I was so exhausted every single day. And it wasn't where I could predict it. Like the exhaustion would come in the morning, like sometime after I get up, sometime in the afternoon, sometimes in the evening. It just was unpredictable. And so, my husband was like, just don't do it. So I didn't. And then after about a year, 2023, December, I said, well, let me try to go back to work part time. So I did. I went back, I got a little job, and I told them I wanted to do 2 days a week. Did they listen? No, because in nursing, they love to push you and they think everybody wants to work all the time. And I told them that I actually explained the situation. I said, this is what I was dealing with. And you think in nursing that they would understand, but they did not. They did not. And they kept trying to push me, 2 days because I told them, I said, when I do the 2 days, I have to go home for 2 days and recover. Sometimes after I work those 2 days, I would be in the bed for 2 days. They didn't seem to understand that, or really, they probably didn't give a shit. They just didn't care. And so they kept pushing me, 2 days. And then, a couple weeks, they tried to, throw three in there. And I tried to do them, I did. I tried to do them, but then I realized it's too much. I cannot do it. And so, oh, I think that's my stove. I have to move. So, anyway, oh yeah, my stove sings, y'all. And it's singing to me because I had something in the oven baking. Okay, that's done. All right. So, anyway, um, so I kept trying to tell them, I need to just stay the 2 days. And then they did the last week that I worked, they did the thing because I was working on part time on call because I needed that flexibility. Um, but the last week that I worked, they put me down on that schedule for 3 night shifts, 10 to 6, 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. And then after the third one, a 2 to 10. And I told those people, I said, listen, I already told you I can't even work all these days, and I definitely can't work it like that. I said, it's hard for me to sleep. I said, once I get off in the morning, I said, and then people don't show up on time. So you're already late. So you're already an hour behind, when you could have been home. Because this particular job, I lived about 3 minutes away. So that was really the only reason that I went there because it was so close. And, it was winter time. And so I don't drive in snow. Sometimes we had snow where I lived at that time. So, so I was like, all right. So after I worked that last 4 days, I'll never forget it. I wasn't on the schedule anymore because I was going on a cruise to Alaska. So we went on our cruise to Alaska last August, and I didn't go back because I just was like, I can't do this. It's too much. My husband said, you don't have to go back. So I did not go back. And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I mean, it's been a challenge just navigating this space because for me, I used to work 2, 3, and 4 jobs for decades, like all through my 20s, my 30s, and part of my 40s. I worked like that, and so to go from working like that to go into part time and then to not working, it was a challenge, in my mind. So I had to really work with my mind, and I don't know if y'all can hear me through the wind. It's so windy. But it was a challenge, and I know how that feels, because for me, I mean, and I think about it now, I was a workaholic, and there were a lot of different reasons behind that, like I worked, work, 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 work. A lot of times I realized that I worked like that because I wanted to escape. I wanted to get away from things that were going on in my house, my life, with my ex-husband. And I just, instead of dealing with all the conflict and the things that were happening and stuff like that, I'd be like, I'm gonna go to work. I'm gonna go to work. And that's what I would say. I'm gonna go to work. And I would work one, sometimes two, sometimes three jobs. Hell, one time I worked 4 jobs at the same time. And I think about it now, I don't even know how I kept up with all that. I have no clue. Well, I kept calendar. Let me back up. I did keep a calendar, and I would write down where I was supposed to be each day. So that way I knew, because sometimes I would work 4 different places in one week, and so, and thinking back on it now, I don't think that was healthy at all. I just don't think it was healthy. However, it was what I did, and a lot of times we get into these cycles and these patterns, and we're doing these things and we're doing these things, and we don't even realize how unhealthy it is and how we really need to make a shift and how we need to really begin to start loving on ourselves. And so that led me to these last few weeks I've been talking about people pleasing and releasing and loving yourself and all these things and self-respect and how those things all go hand in hand. And so that's the journey that I've been going through because I decided that no, I'm not people pleasing anymore. And I started diving into it to look and see exactly what it looked like for me. And I know that if it's something that I'm dealing with, that many more people are in the world are probably dealing with that. And so I come on and talk about it and say, but today I thought I would share some of this backstory of some of this stuff that I've been going through and healing through and shifting through and dealing with because it's a whole journey. And then I actually had the wonderfulness of being able to move to a beautiful retirement community on the ocean where right now I can hear the ocean right now where I'm at and the wind is blowing and it's lovely out here. It's a little chilly, so I'm about to go inside. But but yes, I just wanted to come over here and just, share with y'all as I was sipping my tea because I like different types of teas. This tea today is Love Up the Lymph. It's supposed to help with your lymph nodes and your lymph glands, your lymphatic system. And so I'm drinking that. And supplements. People say, "Well, try this and take that and do that. Did you take that?" I said, "I'm not looking for supplements. I have so many and I take so many." When this thing started, I dove deep into supplements and natural medicine, nature. I went to see a naturopath, spent much money on stuff that some of it helped and a lot of it didn't. So now I'm on this journey to see, what works for me, not as far as supplement, using the energy tools that I have and doing that kind of work on myself as well as allowing others to do it as well. Because I have a session, I think in a couple of days with a hypnotherapist because I wanted to try that and see if that's something that can help me. And I would encourage you if you're dealing with something that you try, alternative medicine and natural therapies. Because for me, that's where it's at. I mean, I'm not really interested in hardly nothing that Western medicine has because um, the way that my body works, it doesn't usually respond to much of that stuff. Like I was having some problems with anxiety at one time, and they gave me a pill for anxiety. Matter of fact, I think I took 3 different pills that they gave me for anxiety, not at the same time. Just tried one and didn't do anything, and then another one, and none of it worked. So I have concluded the psych drugs do not work for me. They just don't. And you know what? Everything doesn't work for everybody. And that's something that we have to remember. Y'all know I'm looking on the side like that because we have a bear in the community. And he just comes and runs up and runs by. And I'm not really interested in interacting with him. I just record it on my phone from inside the house. But I'm always paying attention, trying to, make sure that everything's good because I don't have a fence. We don't have a fence yet. We plan to fence, but we don't have one yet. And so they can just come through and the little deer they always come through, but they so peaceful, beautiful creatures. So that's the kind of area that we live in. It's a nice, beautiful little retirement community with all the creatures, deers and bears and mountain lions. And somebody said there was a timber wolf, coyotes, um, the flying birds, all kinds of different creatures and stuff. Bats, seen them. So just all kinds of God's creatures. So, but yeah. So anyway, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I appreciate you. Thank you for subscribing. Um, I love this platform, y'all. I really do. And I believe that this one is going to be great, better than some of those other ones that are not going to be named. But you know who I'm talking about, where I'm talking about. Like one in particular, like I really just do not like IG. I do not like it. And a lot of people love it and they tell me about it and they go on there, but I just from the beginning I never liked it. It just did not appeal to me. So I don't do much on there. But anyhow, thank you for joining and I appreciate you. If you are interested, I have my stand store there. Go check out some of my offerings. I have some free and some paid offerings as well. I have a workshop that is coming up next month. I think I'm going to do that. It's around, I think, the 22nd or something of October or so. But I'll be putting up stuff to let you know about that. It's going to be um, amazing. It's going to be on Zoom. So we'll come together and I'll put a little thing out so you can sign up for it if that's something that you enjoy. But again, just continue to keep checking me out, and I appreciate liking and sharing and all the good things. And I hope that your day is magical. Bye now. Oh, signing off. This is Tammy with the $1 Billion Voice signing off.